They don't want you to know this. The secret's hidden in the depths of psychology, the mind tricks that influence your thoughts. Your actions, your decisions, are kept from you for a reason. Because the moment you understand them, the moment you master them, you gain control. Control over your mind, control over your emotions, control over how the world perceives you. And that makes you powerful. But power is not handed to you. You must claim it. Today, I will reveal the psychology hacks that no one tells you. The ones used by the most successful, the most confident, the most persuasive people in the world. These are not theories. These are not just ideas. These are the weapons of the mind, tools that can shift reality in your favor. People assume that the most powerful person in the room is the one who talks the loudest, dominates the conversation, or constantly asserts their opinions. But the truth is, power is not in what you say, it's in how you carry yourself. The way you walk into a room, the way you hold yourself, the way you use silence, these are the unspoken elements that dictate how people perceive you. The most respected and influential individuals in the world understand that authority is not about trying to prove yourself, it's about making others sense your presence before you even speak. When you observe powerful leaders, top negotiators, or high-status individuals, you'll notice they rarely rush to speak. Instead, they let others do the talking first. They take their time, choose their words carefully, and pause before responding. That pause alone makes people lean in, makes them listen more closely, makes their words seem more valuable. It creates an aura of importance. When someone speaks too quickly or fills every silence, they subconsciously communicate nervousness, a need for validation, or a lack of control. But when you hold your ground, maintain your composure, and resist the urge to fill the silence, you create a psychological advantage. People start to wonder what you're thinking. They start to anticipate your words. And in that anticipation, they grant you more authority. Another key element of unspoken power is body language. Most people don't realize how much their posture, facial expressions, and gestures influence how others perceive them. Confidence is not just about how you feel internally, it's about what you project externally. If you walk into a room with slouched shoulders, hesitant movements, and shifting eyes, you immediately signal insecurity, even if you don't say a word. But if you walk in with your shoulders back, chin slightly up, and controlled, deliberate movements, you command attention without even trying. Your posture alone can change the way people treat you. One of the most overlooked aspects of power is eye contact. People who avoid direct eye contact seem unsure, untrustworthy, or intimidated. But those who maintain steady, relaxed eye contact without overdoing it create a sense of presence. They appear self-assured, focused, and in control. When speaking to someone, holding their gaze a fraction longer than normal can create a sense of intrigue and authority. It tells them that you are fully engaged, that you are unshaken, that you are someone to be taken seriously. The way you control your physical space also impacts how people perceive you. When someone is nervous or lacks confidence, they tend to make themselves smaller, crossing their arms, hunching their shoulders, or keeping their hands close to their body. On the other hand, powerful individuals expand their presence. They take up space. They use open gestures. They move with purpose rather than hesitation. Even in a seated position, the way someone sits can determine how they are perceived. Sitting upright, slightly leaning back with an open posture signals confidence and ease, while crossing arms tightly or fidgeting signals discomfort and insecurity. A major psychological factor in unspoken power is the ability to remain calm under pressure. The moment someone raises their voice, shows frustration, or reacts emotionally, they lose control. But the person who remains composed, no matter the situation, holds all the power. People are naturally drawn to those who seem unfazed, who seem to operate on their own terms rather than being swayed by external pressures. This is why in high-stakes negotiations, debates, or confrontations, the one who keeps their emotions in check often comes out on top. Silence, when used correctly, is another tool of influence. Many people fear silence because they associate it with awkwardness or uncertainty. But those who understand the power of silence know that it can be used to shift the dynamics of any conversation. When you pause before responding, it makes the other person pay closer attention to what you are about to say. It also forces them to fill the silence, often revealing more than they intended. A well-placed pause can make a statement more impactful, a decision more authoritative, or a response more meaningful. This is why in interviews, business meetings, or even casual conversations, the most powerful individuals never rush to speak. They let the room settle. They make people wait. And in that waiting, they create an aura of authority. The moment you learn to embrace silence, master your posture, and maintain composed energy, you begin to shift the way the world perceives you. People listen more, respect more, and naturally gravitate toward you without you ever having to say a word. People like people who are like them. This is an undeniable psychological truth. When you meet someone new, your brain is constantly scanning for familiarity, shared experiences, similar interests, matching energy. It's an instinct rooted in survival. In ancient times, being part of a tribe meant safety. Being different meant danger. That instinct still exists today, and you can use it to your advantage. If you understand how to create the illusion of similarity, you can make anyone feel comfortable around you. You can build trust faster, gain influence more easily, and form deeper connections without the other person even realizing why they feel drawn to you. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through mirroring. Mirroring is the subconscious act of copying another person's body language, speech patterns, or energy. It happens naturally when two people are in sync. Have you ever noticed that close friends tend to use the same phrases? Or that couples who have been together for years often start to sound alike? That's mirroring in action. But while most people do it unconsciously, you can do it deliberately to build rapport. When talking to someone, subtly match their posture. If they lean forward, lean forward. If they cross their arms, wait a few moments, then do the same. If they use a lot of hand gestures, incorporate some into your own movements. The key is to do it subtly and naturally. If it's too obvious, it can seem manipulative. But when done correctly, the person on the other side starts to feel a connection to you without even realizing why. Their brain registers that you are like them, and as a result, they feel more at ease. Beyond body language, mirroring also applies to tone of voice and speech patterns. If someone speaks softly and slowly, match their pace. If they talk fast and with high energy, speed up slightly. If they use specific words or phrases frequently, incorporate them into your responses. This creates a sense of familiarity, making the other person feel understood on a deeper level. People don't just want to be heard, they want to be understood. And when they feel that understanding, they naturally gravitate toward the person who gives it to them. Another way to build connection is through emotional mirroring. People are emotional beings. They are drawn to those who reflect their feelings. If someone is excited about something, match their enthusiasm. If they are sharing a personal struggle, don't immediately try to fix it, mirror their emotional state first. Show them you get it. That sounds really frustrating, or I can see why that would be exciting. Instantly builds connection. It tells the other person, I see you. I feel you. I understand you. That emotional validation creates an unbreakable bond. Mirroring works because it taps into the human need for belonging. It makes people feel comfortable, safe, and understood. That's why the most charismatic leaders, top salespeople, and influential speakers all use it, whether they realize it or not. They know that influence is not about forcing people to listen. It's about making people feel like they already belong. This technique is so powerful that it can even shift the way someone perceives an interaction. But have you ever met someone for the first time and felt an instant connection, as if you had known them forever? That's often because they mirrored your energy so seamlessly that your brain registered them as familiar. And familiarity breeds trust. But mirroring isn't just about body language and words, it's also about energy. If you want to connect with someone, you need to meet them where they are emotionally. If someone is frustrated, approaching them with high energy and excitement will create a disconnect. If they are feeling low, giving them space to express that feeling before shifting the tone creates alignment. The true power of mirroring lies in its subtlety. The best influencers and communicators don't make people feel manipulated. They make them feel understood. And when people feel understood, they open up, they trust, and they listen. Understanding this simple psychological hack can change the way you build relationships, how you persuade others, and how you create lasting impressions. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build. The way you think, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you carry yourself all determine how confident you feel and how others perceive you. The mind is like a machine, constantly processing the information you feed it. If you keep telling yourself that you are not good enough, that you will fail, or that others are better than you, your brain starts looking for evidence to confirm those beliefs. But if you shift that inner dialogue, if you start telling yourself that you are capable, that you are deserving, that you belong in any room you step into, your brain will begin to search for proof of that instead. The fastest way to build confidence is to act as if you already have it. Your brain cannot tell the difference between real confidence and practiced confidence. If you carry yourself like someone who is sure of themselves, if you speak with certainty, if you walk into a room as if you own it, your mind will eventually catch up. Confidence is not about knowing everything or having all the answers. It is about believing that no matter what happens, you can handle it. People often wait to feel confident before they take action, but the truth is that confidence comes after action, not before. The more you put yourself in situations that challenge you, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable. Every time you push past discomfort, every time you face a fear, every time you step outside your comfort zone, you are training your brain to believe in your own ability. Your thoughts shape your reality. If you constantly doubt yourself, that doubt will show in your body language, in your tone, in the way you present yourself. But if you train your mind to expect success, you start moving differently. The words you use when speaking to yourself matter. Instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" shift the question to, "What if I succeed?" Instead of telling yourself, "They won't like me," say, "They already respect me." Instead of thinking, "I am not ready," tell yourself, "I am more prepared than I realize." The mind follows where your thoughts lead it. If you think like a confident person, you will start to act like one. The way you carry your body also affects how confident you feel. If you stand tall, keep your shoulders back, and take up space, you signal to your brain that you are in control. Studies show that changing your posture for just a few minutes can actually shift your brain chemistry, increasing hormones that boost confidence and decreasing those that create stress. That means you can trick your brain into feeling more confident simply by adjusting how you sit, stand, and move. Before walking into an important meeting, an interview, or any situation where you need to feel powerful, take a moment to fix your posture. Breathe deeply, stand straight, and remind yourself that you belong there. One of the biggest confidence killers is the fear of what others think. People spend so much time worrying about how they're being judged that they forget a simple truth. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to analyze you. The moment you stop seeking approval is the moment you gain true confidence. Confident people do not wait for permission to take up space, to share their ideas, or to express themselves fully. They do not shrink themselves to make others comfortable. They own who they are, flaws and all. And that self-acceptance makes them magnetic. Another way to build confidence is through preparation. Confidence does not come from hoping things will go well. It comes from knowing that you have done the work. If you walk into a situation knowing you are prepared, you naturally feel more in control. Whether it is a speech, a presentation, or a conversation, taking the time to prepare makes a massive difference. But preparation is not just about knowledge, it is also about mindset. Visualizing success, picturing yourself handling challenges with ease, and mentally rehearsing positive outcomes can all rewire your brain to expect confidence rather than doubt. Confidence is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. The more you act with confidence, the more natural it becomes. The mind is powerful, but you must train it to work for you instead of against you. The way you think, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you carry yourself all determine your level of confidence. Shift your inner dialogue, adjust your posture, take action before you feel ready. And soon confidence will no longer be something you are trying to build, it will be something you naturally embody. People don't like being told what to do. The moment they feel pressured or forced into something, they instinctively resist. This is a psychological reaction known as reactance, the automatic urge to push back against anything that threatens personal freedom. Understanding this instinct allows you to use it to your advantage. Instead of directly telling people what they should do, you create a situation where they feel like they are making the choice themselves. This is where reverse psychology becomes a powerful tool. By subtly challenging someone's ability or readiness for something, you make them more likely to take action. Think about how children react when told they can't have something. The moment they believe it's off limits, they want it even more. Adults are no different. When someone suggests that a product might not be for them or that an opportunity requires a certain level of skill, it triggers a need to prove otherwise. This is why elite brands limit availability or imply exclusivity. They know that making something seem difficult to attain increases its perceived value. When a salesperson tells a customer, "This may not be the right fit for you," the customer suddenly wants to prove that it is. When someone hears most people wouldn't be willing to put in the effort for this, it triggers a subconscious desire to show that they are different. This technique is used everywhere. Advertisers use it when they say only a few spots left or not everyone is ready for this challenge. Influencers use it when they tease content by saying this might be too intense for some people. The moment something feels exclusive or limited, people's desire for it increases. It's not manipulation, it's simply understanding human nature. People want to feel like they are making their own decisions. They don't want to feel like they are being persuaded. They want to believe they arrived at the decision independently. One of the most effective ways to apply reverse psychology is in persuasion. Instead of directly telling someone why they should do something, present it as a question or a challenge. If someone is hesitating to take action, saying you probably aren't ready for this yet makes them more likely to prove they are. If you want someone to consider an idea, saying this might not be for you makes them more curious to explore it. The key is to plant the idea without directly pushing it. Let their own mind do the work of convincing them. Another place where reverse psychology is powerful is in leadership and influence. The best leaders don't demand loyalty or hard work. They make people feel like stepping up is their own choice. Instead of saying, you need to do this, they say only the most committed take on this challenge. Instead of saying, you should support this cause, they say, most people won't take action on this, but the ones who do make a real difference. This subtle shift in wording makes people feel like they are choosing to rise to the occasion rather than being pushed into it. Even in personal relationships, reverse psychology can shift dynamics. If someone is reluctant to take responsibility, instead of telling them what they should do, create a situation where they naturally step up. If a friend is hesitant about trying something new, instead of convincing them, say, it's totally okay if it's not for you. That small shift removes pressure and makes them feel like the decision is completely in their hands. This concept also works in negotiation. If you are negotiating a deal, acting too eager can make the other person feel like they have the upper hand. But if you imply that you might walk away, it changes the power dynamic. When someone senses that they might lose an opportunity, they often want it more. Instead of trying to convince someone why they need you, making them feel like you have options naturally increases your value in their eyes. The effectiveness of reverse psychology comes down to one thing: people want to feel in control. The moment they sense they are being pushed in a certain direction, their instinct is to resist. But when they feel like they are making the choice on their own terms, they become far more likely to follow through. The key is subtlety. Plant the idea, create curiosity, and allow people to reach the conclusion themselves. Scarcity is one of the most powerful psychological forces that drive human behavior. People always place a higher value on things that are rare, difficult to obtain, or perceived as exclusive. The moment something becomes less available, its desirability skyrockets. This principle applies to everything: business, relationships, social status, and even self-worth. When something is easily accessible, it loses its perceived value. But the moment it becomes limited, people suddenly crave it. Understanding this psychology allows you to position yourself, your skills, and your time in a way that makes others see you as more valuable. In marketing, businesses use scarcity tactics all the time. Phrases like limited time offer, only a few spots left, or exclusive invitation create an urgency that forces people to act. When people believe they might miss out on something, they feel a psychological pressure to make a decision quickly. This is why collectors chase after limited edition items, why luxury brands thrive on exclusivity, and why products that sell out become even more desirable. The fear of missing out is real, and businesses know exactly how to use it to their advantage. But what most people don't realize is that this principle can be applied to human behavior as well. People value what they have to work for. When something is too easy to access, it loses its appeal. This applies to personal relationships, careers, and influence. If you are always available, always saying yes, and always seeking validation, people take you for granted. But the moment you create boundaries, prioritize your time, and make yourself less accessible, people start valuing you more. This is why high-status individuals are not constantly seeking attention. They let attention come to them. They understand that being selective makes them more desirable. In relationships, scarcity plays a major role in attraction. The person who is always available, always eager, and always trying to please is often overlooked. But the person who holds their ground, who has their own priorities, and who is not afraid to walk away commands more respect. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding that people naturally desire what they can't easily have. When someone feels like they might lose something valuable, they put in more effort to keep it. This is why people chase after things that seem just out of reach. The moment you start treating yourself as someone valuable, someone who is not desperate for approval, people start perceiving you that way. The same principle applies in business and career growth. Employees who constantly say yes to everything without setting boundaries often get overlooked, while those who confidently manage their time and say no when necessary are seen as more competent and respected. Entrepreneurs who create a sense of exclusivity around their brand attract more attention than those who try to appeal to everyone. The world respects those who respect themselves. If you give your time, energy, and expertise too freely, people assume it has no value. But the moment you make it clear that your time is valuable, that your skills are in demand, and that you are not available for just anyone, you naturally increase your perceived worth. Social proof also amplifies the power of scarcity. When people see that something is in high demand, they want it even more. A restaurant with a long waiting list appears more desirable than one that is always empty. A speaker who is booked months in advance seems more respected than one who is available at any moment. A person who is respected and surrounded by others naturally attracts even more interest. The human brain is wired to follow the crowd. If something is scarce and in demand, people assume it must be valuable. Understanding scarcity means knowing how to position yourself in a way that makes others value you more. It means setting standards for how you allow others to treat you. It means creating demand for your presence, your time, and your energy. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about recognizing that what you have to offer is valuable and making sure others see it that way too. When you stop chasing and start positioning yourself as someone who is selective, you naturally draw more respect, admiration, and opportunities. The way you present something determines how people perceive it. The human brain doesn't make decisions purely based on logic. It makes them based on how information is framed. This is why two identical options can feel completely different depending on how they are described. It's not just about what you say. It's about how you say it. Understanding the power of framing allows you to control the way people react to situations, choices, and even you as a person. The right framing can make something appear more valuable, more urgent, or more desirable, while the wrong framing can make the same thing seem unappealing or insignificant. Marketers and advertisers use this technique constantly. A product that is described as 95% fat-free sounds much more appealing than one labeled as 5% fat. The information is the same, but the way it is framed changes how people feel about it. A discount of $20 off might not seem as attractive as save $20 today, even though they mean the same thing. When given two identical options, people will gravitate toward the one that is framed in a way that appeals to their emotions. Businesses know this, which is why they craft their messaging carefully to guide customers toward the decision they want them to make. Framing is not just about selling products, it's about influencing people in everyday life. When you present an idea to someone, the way you introduce it determines how they respond. If you tell someone, you have to do this, they might resist. But if you say, most successful people do this, and that's why they get ahead, they suddenly feel like it's in their best interest to follow along. If you need someone to take on a difficult task, telling them this is going to be really hard might discourage them, but saying this is a challenge that only the best can handle changes their perception completely. The task is the same, but the framing shifts how they feel about it. The same principle applies to personal confidence. How you talk about yourself affects how others see you. If you introduce yourself as just starting out in something, people assume you lack experience. But if you frame it as exploring new opportunities in this field, it sounds like a conscious choice. If you tell people, I've never done this before, they might doubt you. But if you say, I'm excited to take on a new challenge, it creates a completely different impression. The way you describe yourself, your skills, and your experience shapes how others view you. Framing also plays a role in how you handle setbacks. If you fail at something and tell yourself, I'm just not good enough, you reinforce a negative belief. But if you frame it as, this was a learning experience that will make me stronger, you turn the situation into something empowering. People who succeed aren't necessarily those who never fail. They are the ones who frame failure in a way that pushes them forward instead of holding them back. In relationships, framing affects the way people perceive you and your value. If you present yourself as someone who needs another person's approval, they may see you as desperate. But if you frame yourself as someone who chooses their connections carefully, you create a sense of value around yourself. If you constantly say, I hope they like me, you put yourself in a position of weakness. But if you say, let's see if we connect well, you take control of the interaction. The words you use and the way you structure your thoughts determine how you come across to others. Even in negotiations, framing can make the difference between success and failure. If you ask for something by saying, I need this, you might not get the response you want. But if you frame it as, this is a win-win situation that benefits both of us, the other person sees it differently. The best negotiators don't just demand what they want, they frame their requests in a way that makes the other party see the value in agreeing. Understanding framing allows you to take control of the way people interpret situations. It gives you the power to guide decisions, shape perceptions, and influence outcomes. The words you choose and the way you present information matter more than most people realize. When you learn to frame things strategically, you can turn almost any situation in your favor, whether it's a conversation, a negotiation, a personal challenge, or a major life decision. The human mind is wired to look for patterns. It constantly seeks connections, familiarity, and meaning in everything. This is why stories are so powerful. They help the brain process information in a way that facts alone cannot. When people hear a story, they don't just listen, they experience it. Their emotions get involved, their imagination becomes active, and they remember the message long after the story is over. The reason storytelling works so well is that it bypasses logical resistance. If you try to persuade someone with facts alone, they might argue, question, or challenge those facts. But if you tell a compelling story, they absorb the message without even realizing it. Think about the way children learn important lessons. Instead of giving them a list of rules, parents and teachers tell them stories, fables, fairy tales, and parables. These stories create emotional connections that make the lesson stick. The same concept applies to adults. When a message is wrapped inside a story, it feels natural, relatable, and meaningful. People don't just process the information, they feel it. This emotional connection makes stories the most effective tool for influence, whether in business, leadership, relationships, or personal growth. The best communicators in the world understand this principle. Great leaders don't just give instructions, they tell stories that inspire action. Great salespeople don't just list product features, they share stories about how their product changed someone's life. Great speakers don't just present facts, they tell personal stories that resonate with their audience. The reason this works is because stories engage both the logical and emotional parts of the brain. They make people feel something, and when people feel something, they remember it. In persuasion, storytelling is one of the most effective ways to change minds. If you try to convince someone of something directly, they might resist. But if you tell them a story that illustrates your point, they are more likely to see things from your perspective. For example, if you want someone to understand the importance of resilience, instead of telling them you need to be strong, you could share a story about someone who overcame massive obstacles and succeeded. That story allows them to draw their own conclusions, making the lesson much more impactful. This principle applies in business as well. People don't just buy products, they buy the story behind the product. A watch is not just a timepiece, it's a symbol of status, tradition, and craftsmanship. A luxury car is not just a vehicle, it's a statement about success. Brands that master storytelling create emotional connections that turn customers into loyal followers. Apple doesn't just sell technology, it sells innovation and creativity. Nike doesn't just sell shoes, it sells the spirit of determination and victory. These brands use stories to make people feel something, and that feeling drives their decisions. Even in personal interactions, storytelling can be a game changer. If you want someone to understand you, connect with you, or be inspired by you, telling them a story is far more effective than simply stating your thoughts. If you are in a job interview and want to highlight your strengths instead of saying, "I'm hardworking and determined," tell a story about a time when you faced a challenge and refused to give up. If you want to make a lasting impression on someone, sharing a meaningful personal experience is far more powerful than giving them generic advice. The brain is wired to remember stories. When you hear a list of facts, you might forget them within minutes. But when you hear a powerful story, you remember it for years. This is why the most influential speakers, leaders, and communicators rely on storytelling to deliver their messages. They know that the right story told at the right moment can change how someone thinks, feels, and acts. The beauty of storytelling is that it works in any situation. Whether you are trying to teach, inspire, persuade, or connect, a well-told story makes all the difference. People don't just want information, they want meaning, emotion, and connection. When you learn to tell stories effectively, you gain the power to influence, inspire, and leave a lasting impact. The subconscious mind controls far more of human behavior than most people realize. Every decision, reaction, and habit is shaped by patterns and associations buried deep within the mind. One of the most powerful ways to influence people without them even realizing it is through priming. Priming is the process of subtly exposing someone to certain ideas, words, or images that later influence their thoughts and actions. The best part is that it works without direct awareness. People don't realize they've been primed, yet their behavior changes as a result. This technique is used everywhere. In advertising, brands carefully select the colors, music, and language they use to create specific associations in the audience's mind. A luxury brand might use dark, rich colors with elegant music to make their products feel high class. A fast food company might use bright, energetic colors and upbeat music to create a sense of excitement and urgency. The environment shapes perception without people realizing it. Even the background music in a store can influence what customers buy. Studies have shown that playing classical music in a wine shop leads customers to buy more expensive bottles, while playing French music leads them to buy more French wine. The customers believe they are making their own choices, but their minds have been subtly guided in a specific direction. Priming also works in communication and persuasion. The words someone hears before a conversation can shape how they interpret what comes next. If a speaker starts by talking about challenges and struggles, the audience will subconsciously expect difficulty. But if the speaker begins with words like opportunity and growth, the audience will be more open to positive possibilities. The way something is introduced matters more than most people realize. Even simple word choices can shift perceptions. In one study, people were shown a video of a car accident and asked to estimate the speed of the cars. When they were asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? They gave much higher speed estimates than when asked, how fast were the cars going when they contacted each other? The word smashed created an unconscious impression of greater force. Priming is also used in social interactions. When someone is exposed to words related to kindness before meeting a new person, they are more likely to perceive that person as friendly. If they have just read words related to aggression, they might interpret neutral behavior as rude or hostile. This is why first impressions are so important. Whatever someone experiences first colors how they interpret everything afterward. A handshake, a smile, or even the first few words spoken can set the tone for an entire interaction. This principle applies to self-perception as well. The way people talk to themselves, the media they consume, and the environments they put themselves in all shape their subconscious beliefs. If someone constantly exposes themselves to negative news, toxic people, or self-doubt, their mind becomes primed to see the world through a negative lens. But if they surround themselves with positivity, growth-oriented content, and affirmations of their abilities, they start to see more opportunities and possibilities. The subconscious mind absorbs everything, whether or not someone is aware of it. Businesses, leaders, and influencers use priming to shape how others perceive them. A job applicant who walks into an interview with a strong posture and confident tone primes the interviewer to see them as capable. A speaker who starts with an inspiring story primes the audience to see them as motivational. A company that consistently presents itself with authority and expertise primes customers to trust its products. The way something is introduced determines how it will be received. Understanding priming allows someone to take control of their own mindset and influence others more effectively. by choosing what to expose themselves to, how to present their ideas, and how to shape their environment. They can guide thoughts, perceptions, and behaviors in powerful ways. Most people go through life unaware of the subconscious cues shaping their decisions, but those who understand priming can use it to their advantage. Whether in business, relationships, or personal growth, priming is a hidden force that can make all the difference. Social validation is one of the most powerful forces influencing human behavior. People naturally look to others to determine what is right, acceptable, or desirable. This instinct is deeply wired into the brain because throughout history, survival depended on belonging to a group. Those who aligned with the majority were more likely to be protected, accepted, and supported, while those who strayed too far from the group risked isolation. Even in today's modern world, the same psychological principle controls how people think, act, and make decisions, often without them even realizing it. The influence of social validation is everywhere. When people see a long line outside a restaurant, they assume the food must be good. When they notice a product with thousands of positive reviews, they believe it must be high quality. When they hear a song that millions of people are listening to, they assume it must be worth their time. This is why businesses use testimonial, social proof, and celebrity endorsements. They know that people are more likely to trust something if others have already validated it. The human brain takes shortcuts to make decisions, and one of the biggest shortcuts is looking at what everyone else is doing. In personal interactions, social validation plays an equally strong role. People tend to mirror the emotions and behaviors of those around them. If a person walks into a room where everyone is laughing and having a great time, they naturally feel more positive. But if they enter a tense, silent environment, they begin to feel uneasy without even knowing why. This is why confidence is so magnetic. When someone carries themselves with certainty, others subconsciously assume they must have a good reason to be confident, and they start to view them as more valuable. This is also why nervousness and insecurity can push people away. When someone doubts themselves, others instinctively follow that perception and doubt them too. Social validation is especially powerful in decision-making. When people are unsure about what to do, they rely on what others are doing as a guide. This is why trends spread so quickly. When a new fashion style, a viral challenge, or a business idea starts gaining traction, people jump on board because they see others doing the same. The fear of missing out drives them to follow the crowd. This effect is even stronger when the people validating something are seen as successful, authoritative, or influential. If an expert or celebrity endorses a product, people assume it must be good. If a well-respected person supports a certain idea, others are more likely to adopt that belief. This principle is not just used by businesses and influencers, it can be applied in everyday life. If someone wants to be seen as a leader, they must first demonstrate that others already follow them. If they want to be perceived as valuable, they must show that others respect and seek their opinion. This is why the most influential people in any field create a strong presence, engage with others publicly, and showcase their achievements. When people see that someone is already being validated by others, they naturally want to be part of that energy. Social validation also affects self-perception. The way people see themselves is often shaped by how others react to them. When someone is constantly surrounded by people who uplift and validate them, their confidence grows. But if they are always in environments where they feel overlooked or undervalued, they start to internalize those feelings. This is why surrounding oneself with positive, ambitious, and supportive people is so crucial. Those social cues influence mindset, self-worth, and motivation. Even in disagreements, social validation plays a role. If one person argues a point but is standing alone, they are less likely to be taken seriously. But if they have a group of people supporting their stance, their argument carries more weight. This is why movements, ideas, and beliefs gain strength when they are shared by large numbers of people. The more something appears to be widely accepted, the more others are inclined to adopt it. Understanding the power of social validation allows someone to navigate social situations more effectively, influence decisions, and even reshape their own confidence. Whether in business, relationships, or personal growth, knowing how to position oneself in a way that signals value to others can make all the difference. Those who master this principle can shape perceptions, build authority, and attract the right people and opportunities effortlessly. The way the human mind processes rewards and consequences shapes nearly every decision, habit, and action. One of the most effective ways to influence behavior is by using variable rewards. This psychological principle is the foundation of why people get addicted to certain activities, why they keep checking their phones, and why some businesses create products that people can't stop using. Unlike predictable rewards, which lose their excitement over time, variable rewards trigger a much stronger response in the brain. The anticipation of a possible reward creates a powerful cycle of engagement, making people crave the experience even more. This concept is most famously used in casinos. Slot machines don't pay out a reward every time, but that's exactly what makes them so addictive. The uncertainty knowing that the next spin could be a jackpot keeps people playing. If the reward were predictable, players would quickly lose interest, but because the outcome is always uncertain, the brain stays engaged, constantly hoping for the next big win. The same principle applies to social media. Every time someone checks their phone, they don't know what they'll find. It could be a new message, a like, a comment, or nothing at all. This uncertainty makes them check their phone over and over again, creating a habit that feels impossible to break. Variable rewards also explain why people stay hooked on certain entertainment, such as TV shows, video games, and even relationships. In TV shows, cliffhangers keep viewers coming back because they create uncertainty. The brain wants closure, so it keeps seeking the next episode. In video games, unpredictable rewards like rare items or unexpected challenges make players stay engaged for hours. Even in relationships, the unpredictability of attention and affection can create a powerful emotional bond. If someone never knows when they will receive validation or affection, they become more emotionally invested, constantly chasing that next moment of approval. This principle is used by some of the most successful companies in the world. Apps and websites are designed to create unpredictable engagement. Email inboxes work the same way. People check them frequently because they don't know when they might receive an important message. Loyalty programs and promotions in businesses also use this strategy. If a customer knows they will always receive a discount, they might take it for granted. But if they only occasionally get a special offer, they become more engaged, always hoping for the next big deal. The reason variable rewards work so well is that they tap into the brain's dopamine system. Dopamine is not just released when a reward is received, it is released in anticipation of the reward. This means that the uncertainty of a possible reward actually creates more excitement than receiving the reward itself. This is why people can get more pleasure from the thrill of chasing something than from actually having it. The pursuit keeps the brain engaged, making the experience feel irresistible. In personal growth and productivity, this principle can be used in a positive way. Instead of making progress feel routine and predictable, adding an element of surprise can increase motivation. For example, someone trying to build a habit of exercising might get bored if they follow the same routine every day. But if they introduce an unpredictable element like randomly choosing different workouts or surprising themselves with a reward on some days but not others, they stay more engaged. The brain thrives on novelty, and keeping things unpredictable makes tasks feel more exciting. In leadership and motivation, variable rewards can be a powerful tool. If a leader wants to keep their team engaged, constantly giving the same level of praise or incentives can lose its impact over time. But if they mix in unexpected recognition, bonuses, or appreciation, their team stays more motivated. The unpredictability makes people work harder, hoping for the next moment of recognition. This same principle applies in relationships. Unexpected acts of kindness, surprises, and spontaneous moments of appreciation keep the emotional connection strong. Understanding how variable rewards shape behavior allows someone to take control of their own habits and also influence others more effectively. It explains why some activities become irresistible, why people get hooked on certain behaviors, and how to create lasting engagement. Those who master this principle can harness its power for personal success, motivation, and influence, making it a hidden key to shaping behavior in nearly every aspect of life.